Good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime Series with me, Comarch, leading the charge with insights, information, and ultimately effective results. Joining me in today's Marketing and Leadership segment, Marketing and Communications expert and co-host Craig Paisley. How are you doing, Craig?
Oh, Kevin, I'm great. Thank you. Hope you're doing well, and really great to see some sunshine for the last few days, considering all the damn rain we've had. So just in the early stages of the show, just to say it's our last show for February 2025, and ending this month of activity with marketing related topics and moving into leadership and business related topics for the month ahead.
Craig, and I know it sounds like a bit of an ongoing conversation with everybody, but it really is hard to believe that we're already at the end of February.
Gosh, Kevin, I can't.
We started the year, and it's like the second month already. It's crazy.
Yeah, exactly that.
Craig, before we start with today's topic, please give us a quick rundown of what we chatted about last week.
Yeah, absolutely, Kevin. So last week we reviewed what I thought was a really great article that I came across on McKinsey.com in the online version of the McKinsey Quarterly. And the article was titled Unlocking the Next Frontier of Personalized Marketing. The article was published on 30th of January 2025, so really relevant current information, and was written by a cohort of 5 authors and supported by 3 other contributors, Kevin. And one of the key points that really stood out for me in the article is that better targeted promotions and generated AI boosted content, companies can turn to tech stacks that bring everything together. So we did spend quite a bit of time looking at the technology component. This was highlighted in another article published in McKinsey in 2019, Kevin, which is titled A Technology Blueprint for Personalization at Scale. And that particular article described the 4D strategy of data decisioning, designing, and distribution for marketing technology. And the article we covered last week actually picked up on that, but it included the addition of one new dimension, this being the dimension of measurement, and a really important piece. So let's quickly just look at each of those 5 dimensions in a single paragraph, at least a single line of description. So starting with data, this is the fully automated single source of truth for customer data to serve real-time needs of activation, analytics, and measurement. Decisioning, this is about advanced analytics and machine learning to create customer scoring and real-time triggers. The third D is design. This is the central repository that enables dynamic offers and creative optimization. The fourth D is distribution, and this is the architecture that's actually deployed to deliver these messages and these experiences. And then finally, this new dimension of measurement that came into the mix now in 2025. This is about activating comprehensive cross-channel metrics to inform on performance and engagement. And when you look at the 5 together, you wonder why on earth measurement wasn't part of it at the outset, because it all means nothing if you aren't measuring to increase the performance and engagement opportunity.
Absolutely. Guys, if you want to find out more about that conversation we had, go and check it out on the Lunchtime Series, now available on YouTube and all your major podcast channels. Craig, so what is up for grabs for today's discussion?
Okay, Kevin, we're going to do what I'm going to call a light touch review of Comarch's comprehensive annual global loyalty report. This is titled Customer Loyalty Predictions 2025 and Beyond, Report on AI, Privacy, and Sustainability. So the whole report focuses on those 3 particular pillars and really looks across a deep dive into each of them across the various generations. And listen to this, from the reports that I've been picking up on the web, this report, at least from the comments I've been picking up on the web, this report was published as recently as 20 February 2025. So literally it's less than a week old. But you also might recall that we reviewed one of Comarch's previous reports on loyalty at the end of 2023 into the beginning of 2024. So it's really great to see a year later what's actually happening in this space. But quickly, as a reminder for our listeners, Kevin, Comarch is a global provider with 30 years experience of technologically advanced software designed to help enterprises improve their business efficiencies, reduce their operational costs, and build stronger relationships with all of their partners and clients.
Yeah, Craig, and I'm glad that we're just touching on this big and lightly, because it is it's quite a topic. But I mean, what does this report cover, Craig?
So, Kevin, I'm actually going to start at the end here by looking at the listing of the 10 key report takeaways, because this allows us to set some context when we get into one of the topics around the light touch approach that I referenced earlier. It is worth noting, though, that 27 well-respected loyalty experts have been quoted throughout the report, and we inevitably are going to hear one or two of those quotes in the comments in our discussion, Kevin. So the key takeaways, the 10 key takeaways from Comarch's report are noted as following. Key takeaway 1, and you're going to love this because there's some really great stats in here, Kevin. I know you like the facts and figures. On average, each consumer is a member of 10.72 loyalty programs. Mature loyalty markets show lower loyalty program penetration, reflecting saturation, selective engagement, and in essence, overall program fatigue. On the other hand, developing markets exhibit much higher participation, indicating loyalty exuberance, strong growth potential, and inevitably rising consumer interest. Key takeaway 2 is that 32.37% of customers are members of supermarket loyalty programs, followed by 12.55% in airline loyalty programs and 11.2% in hotel loyalty programs. And again, the important takeout here is that this shows that everyday essentials and travel-related industries lead the customer loyalty segment. Key takeaway 3, at least 35.91% of consumers identify discounts and cashback as top reason for joining the loyalty program, followed by 34.1% who cite the value of rewards as their main motivators. Key takeaway 4 is that 68.15% of consumers prioritize quality, which is really great to see, by 58.1% prioritize price in their purchase decisions. On top of this, 34.39% consider sustainability efforts to be very important. And we have seen that wane, but I think the sustainability aspect is definitely on the rise again, considering the fact that actually it is one of the 3 key pillars of focus in this particular trends report today. Moving on to key takeaway 5, 32.21% of consumers cite a long and difficult joining process as the top barrier to loyalty program enrollment. Absolutely would be for me as well. Followed by 24.05% who identify an inconvenient app as an obstacle. And this therefore highlights the need for much more efficient, simplistic onboarding, both for loyalty enrollment and for in-app usage, Kevin.
Craig, but I don't know if you saw just in the last 2 weeks, and it's interesting that we're touching on this because Carte Blanche actually had a conversation. They had a whole segment about loyalty programs. One of they didn't give us a stat, but they did say that the importance of loyalty programs in South Africa is so significant at this point for brands that it tells a brand more about the consumer than it does that SARS could actually pick up from their financials. And you kind of go, well, that's quite a comparison because you think that SARS would have your expenditure and they would know exactly what's happening. But to the point, if you as you're speaking through the criteria that the key takeaways here, you start realizing that every single, and that's why the POPI Act is so important, but because it's really our how we consume anything is and I mean 10.72 loyalty programs that every customer is connected. I'm like, and that's true because I'm thinking, I'm connected to about at least 10 of them. So it's interesting to hear that it's that the stats are so high because it's quite relevant.
Yeah, I don't watch television, so not in South Africa. We look overseas, substantially different quality. So, watch there. So no, I haven't seen the show. But jumping back in, key takeaway 6, most consumers earn and spend loyalty points through regular food shopping, 34.34% and 27.81% respectively. So spending on regular food, that talks to one of the first points. In fact, if I just jump back to that, in terms of are members of supermarket loyalty programs, 32.7%. So you see a direct correlation in that regard. And then online shopping, 21.14%. This reflects a desire to use points for everyday necessities, with tangible rewards providing the most appeal, which really again points to the economically challenged state that the world is in at this particular point in time. Key takeaway 7 is more than half the respondents are likely to stay loyal to a brand due to convenience and value of its loyalty rewards, demonstrating that loyalty programs have significant potential in customer retention. Takeaway 8, consumer preference, at least consumers prefer instant digital rewards, sitting at 39.84%, and personalized offers sitting at 37.62%, emphasizing the global trend towards customization in loyalty programs. And this speaks directly to the conversation we had last week. Key takeaway 9, Kevin, 43.17% of respondents are open to sharing data in exchange for rewards, highlighting a willingness to exchange personal data for benefits. But we're going to pick up on a bit of that in detail further into the discussion today. And then finally, Kevin, key takeaway 10, 51.96% of consumers would remain loyal to brands with eco-friendly practices, while 38.29% consider reducing plastic waste as a critical initiative.
Yeah, and it's a part of the theme that's come up in the last couple of weeks, Craig, around the importance of eco-friendly and looking after the planet. It's at the forefront of people's minds. I love that it's there.
But as I said, so in the past it was high. It has waned substantially over the last 3 years, but most definitely finding some kind of traction again. So let's hope that that trajectory continues upwards.
So with the key takeaways covered, Craig, what else is revealed in the report?
So Kevin, yeah, good question. And considering that we theoretically, started at the end of today's show with these key takeouts, I actually then want to just hone in and focus specifically on chapter 4 of the report, which provides an in-depth view of generational perspectives on loyalty, and looking at particular two segments, that of Gen Z and millennials. So I want to start by referencing the executive summary, which reads as follows. Customer loyalty predictions 2025 and beyond. AI, privacy, and sustainability explores the expected changes in consumer loyalty, providing comprehensive insights to help marketing and loyalty professionals plan effective strategies. Based on the global consumer survey conducted in November 2024 across 15 countries with 3,000 consumers, it explores how personalization, sustainability, and digital innovation are shaping loyalty programs worldwide. The report delves into the regional and generational trends, communication preferences, and key factors influencing program adoption, while addressing consumer concerns about data privacy and transparency. And just by the way, Kevin, the report is 90 pages long. So if any of our viewers, listeners want some bedtime reading, definitely worth getting your hands on that. A really compelling read.
Yeah, Craig, and like you say, it's called the Customer Loyalty Predictions 2025 and beyond. So if we will share the links in the description box below for anyone who's interested.
Perfect. So yeah, I want to jump straight into chapter 4, the generational perspective on loyalties, and starting with the Gen Z, 18 to 29-year-olds, and here we learn the following. So this segment opens with a question: what do Gen Z consumers value and expect? Well, how's this? We thought 10.12 loyalty programs is a lot per consumer. On average, Gen Zers are members of 12 loyalty programs, Kevin. And the top reason for joining loyalty programs for these for this segment is structured around 3 key focus areas. Firstly is the value of the reward, with 64% citing it as a top factor, and this is slightly higher than the general population measure at 60%. Second is discounts and cashback offers. 65% consider this as a key motivator, and I found this quite interesting. This was lower than the general population that was sitting at 71%. And then the third driver here is affinity for brand, with 52% of Gen Zers joining programs because they like the brands themselves and have a more emotional connection compared to 43% of the general population.
Yeah.
Now, here's an interesting one. Features like VIP access and elusive and exclusive events are least appealing to Zoomers at 21%. Sentiment mirrored by the general population, but obviously at the Gen Z level, definitely right up. Consumers often seen as high eco-conscious are surprisingly less influenced by the sustainability, brand loyalty, and cashback opportunities where it comes to loyalty programs. And there's the point that I speak to. So in some segments, the whole aspect of sustainability is actually diminished somewhat. But yeah, despite the common belief that this generation prioritizes environmental concerns, the survey reveals that only 18% of Gen Z consumers find sustainability to be a driving factor in their loyalty program choices, Kevin. And this suggests that in the context of loyalty programs, practical rewards and instant value may take precedence over these eco-friendly offerings. Personalization for Gen Z. Gen Z consumers demonstrate a distinct approach to data sharing, reflecting, take note, a blend of caution and pragmatism. So 62% of Gen Zers, personalization is important compared to the general population. Zoomers are more likely to expect additional rewards or benefits in exchange for their data, giving them a good leverage point, with 47% citing this as a key motivator versus 43% of the general population. And then, yeah, the third pillar, yeah, the sustainability and ethical practices pillar. Zoomers exhibit caution, but growing interest in sustainability. 54% have switched to or remained loyal to brands due to sustainability practices. Reducing plastic waste, 32%, and renewable energy, 16% are the most valued initiatives. While interestingly, tree planting and carbon offset programs generate little interest. I would expect the carbon offset programs to generate almost zero interest, but I thought tree planting would have a higher measure in this regard, Kevin.
Craig, but as you're speaking through this, I look at, I'm not that focused on loyalty programs, and I probably should be, because if I look at Eugene, he's slightly obsessed with loyalty programs. So, he makes sure that, just going to the gym, if you make sure that you go twice a week, you get free smoothie kind of thing. But he goes to the degree of, making sure that the credit card that we buy anything on gets the points, because if you buy a plane ticket, then the mileage and the Voyager miles, and he goes to that degree. So like hearing it, in data and statistics, it kind of makes sense where, it is like a Zoomer's kind of approach, which is quite strange. And again, the carte blanche conversation on Sunday night was quite interesting, because someone who's like very dedicated to the loyalty programs that Discovery Health have, and the benefits that they, from shopping and gym and your insurance and driving, and according to this user, he saves hundreds of thousands of rands based on using his loyalty programs most effectively. So I'm sure, just listening to it from this context of supporting it with data, you definitely can work your programs and do a hell of a lot of savings if you know what you're doing.
I've got a huge amount of friends that do exactly that, Kevin, to the point that, they've got the Discovery credit card as well. All the healthy groceries go into that. They get the extra points into the Discovery Health program, et cetera, et cetera. You sit in the gym and you just listen to some of the folk. They're talking about how they ranking up the tiers and getting more benefits because they're hitting their thresholds 4 times a week and things like that. So yeah, well and good. Too much of a hassle for me. I'm quite happy to just trundle along the way I do. Now let's move to the next generation up from that of millennials, the 30 to 44-year-olds, and here we note that loyalty membership preferences is about prioritizing practicality. And on average, millennials are also members of 12 loyalty programs that show clear loyalty to industries that align with their busy, resource-driven lives, and I love that. Compared to the general population, their membership leans slightly more towards travel-related programs like airlines, 14% versus 13% general population, and then hotels, 13% versus 11% general population. Just to, segue there is that's inevitably because these guys have been in the workforce a lot longer than the Gen Zers, and then inevitably got larger savings and higher salaries. So the likes of the lifestyle propositions would inevitably be on a high expectation. However, supermarkets still at 27% dominate their loyalty membership, and they trail slightly behind the Gen Pop's 32%. For this age group, Kevin, we note the key reasons for joining loyalty programs do align much closer to the general population than do Gen Zers, with the strongest preferences being the following: discounts and cashbacks, it's 71% versus 69% of general population; value of reward, 67% versus 64% of general population; better customer service, 52% versus 48% of general population. And it's important to note that this cohort places far less emphasis on recommendations from family or friends, which would obviously be quite high in the Gen Z space, at 16% only versus 23% of the general population. And they definitely have less emphasis on VIP perks at 16% versus 24% of the general population. Importantly, though, quality remains a key cornerstone for millennials, with as many as 72% citing it as very important compared to 68% of the general population, and price higher at 58% and promotions 52% also feature prominently versus the general population, Kevin.
High-performing teams don't just happen, they're built. And at the core of every successful team is a contagious identity. It's more than teamwork, it's a mindset. It's about creating a culture where collaboration is second nature, innovation thrives, and every member steps into their true potential. When teams embrace the correct mindset and contagious identity, they tap into something bigger, a shared purpose, aligned values, and an unstoppable moment that drives high-performing teams. Because when identity is contagious, every team member plays with passion and owns their impact, and thrives in an environment where growth isn't just expected, it's inevitable. A contagious identity is where power meets transformation. For more information, go to kevinbritz.com.
Interesting to see how millennials earn and spend their rewards. So, earning points, Gen Y consumers mostly earn rewards during everyday shopping. Again, like with Gen Zers, for food, as much as 30%, or dining, 12%, with slightly higher participation in non-essential categories like apparel and electronics, 10% in apparel and 8% versus 8% of the global population. Redeeming points. So redemption mirrors their practical nature, with focus on food shopping at 25% and online purchases at 20%. Their habits do lean towards convenience rather than splurging. Millennials do also prefer to receive offers via mobile apps at 51% and loyalty portals at 41%, diverging from the email preference of the other age groups, definitely the older age groups, demonstrating a more streamlined, no-nonsense approach to communication. And I definitely, fall into that description, maybe not from an age point of view, but definitely from an expectation of effectiveness point of view. When it comes to staying loyal, Kevin, 56% of consumers in the millennial space cite loyalty rewards as a major driver, mirroring the global population. They are slightly less neutral at 36% versus 41% of the general population, reflecting a very decisive attitude. 2025 features a tech-savvy wish list, and I like this particular approach. Compared to the general population, Gen Y consumers show a stronger interest in tech-driven features, rewards in digital wallets, 47% versus 40%, instant digital rewards, 46% versus 39%, flexible redemption options, 44% versus 38%. Then looking at exclusivity over customization, exclusive rewards as high as 59%, and frequent purchase discounts as high as 57% top the millennials wish list. They care less about these personalized delivery options, as low as 9%. Can't believe that. Reinforcing their preference for utility, that practical aspect coming back again. This cohort is open to sharing data. Take note, providing there's a clear return, with 44% of millennials noting that they're willing to share data for rewards. However, the top barriers to sharing their personal information are privacy concerns, 36%, and obviously skepticism about some of the rewards value at 9%, Kevin. Sustainability, action over ambition. Now, what's interesting here is they definitely are on a much higher ranking than Gen Zers, with 67% of millennials much more likely to join a loyalty program that prioritizes sustainability. The most out of all of the generations surveyed. They're also willing to pay up to, take note, 60% more for more eco-friendly products and services. And that is a substantial difference in price point. 62% claim that they have switched or stayed loyal to a brand because of its sustainability practices, Kevin.
Craig, and what's fascinating about hearing it, from the tech-savvy wish list, the customization, action over ambition, what is interesting about that is that from this perspective, when you have this type of data, you can really start analyzing behaviors and playing into the behaviors of what generations are looking for. And that's what I'm sort of picking up, because you kind of go, okay, so even if you know that this is and I'm guilty of this, because Temu does this really well. they kind of, because you've spent X amount of money, they already get you on WhatsApp. So they send you a WhatsApp message and go, hey, here's some option for you to get 100% discount. And then foolishly, I click on it and I go through it and go, okay, you're actually going to send it for free. But it's part of that, how do you get that loyalty back to the loop of spending money? So it's a great psyche-driven kind of approach.
One of the most important things for me here is, and it definitely goes back to last week's conversation, because we focused on content last week and the mass personalization of content, is that in many instances, these are exactly the same loyalty programs that the Gen Zers, millennials, boomers, etc., are participating in. But the nature of understanding the take-up and use of the program between the various generations means that content has to be specifically tailored relative to that cohort in a particular generation. And inevitably, offers will be different for each of the cohorts on exactly the same program, Kevin.
Yeah, and that's why like that psychological connection that it has, it's quite, if used correctly, it can be really tactical.
And when you start looking at the boomers and Gen Zers, coming out of Gen Zers being the kids of the boomers, and maybe even in fact Gen Zers being the kids of some of Gen X, but most definitely of baby boomers, it'd be interesting to see how the behaviors cross family structure actually operate, and families travel together.
Yeah,
grandkids coming along and things like that, and how the booking mechanics and the utilization of loyalty points at the parents versus the younger generation level as well. It'll be very interesting to see that. Yeah.
But I mean, just on that point,
yes,
like Eugene and I often, because we look at similar platforms but engage differently, and he often says, why am I not getting that? Where are you getting that? Where are you typing that? And I'll have to share a link for him to kind of see products or things that, because it's obviously picking up from, how people are clicking through and the data. So it literally gives you different information based on what it is who you are, which is...
And again, that goes back to the importance of the 4D model of was it data decisioning, design and distribution supported by measurement.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and what's really cool about this report is it's got a lot of easy to read, lovely standout references, but they've got a wonderful, useful tool that is found towards the end of the report, Kevin, and the tool is titled the Loyalty Marketers 2025 Checklist. And here's some really great points to be aware of. It talks into some of the regions that the points have got more relevance to, but just take a note of these points. Point one is know your market. For mature regions like the UK, focus on unique perks. For fast-growing markets like Brazil, South Africa could fit into that, make joining easy and exciting. Complex IT infrastructure hinders agility and security. Point 2 on the checklist is inefficient management and migration processes across multiple cloud platforms. So either falling off at one end, losing the opportunity to maximize your points, or having a break in the content and conversation and having to come back and restructure. The third is gaps in IT infrastructure, monitoring leading to potential security breaches and downtime. And, this is just one of those big things. When this happens, the trust factor goes straight out of a loyalty program. So really, it's important for the marketers to ensure that the gaps in infrastructure monitoring have been, resolved as best they can. The next point is limited control over IT environment, obstructing strategic decision-making. And clunky, heavy IT systems with many hoops to jump through, both from onboarding and utilization from a member point of view, but also from a marketer point of view, in putting the message out there, really hampers and strangles the decision-making progress, at least process. Highlight loyalty rewards for daily must-haves like groceries. You heard across both the generations we looked at, it's a key priority. This definitely is what the report notes is where the magic happens. Simplify enrollment. Nobody has time for complicated forms or clunky apps. Rewards, discounts, and cashbacks, make those your headline acts. Attention grabbing, call to action, draw you in, and then offer that personalized piece of content and communication delivery based on the clear understanding of who you are, what you're about, and how those rewards and discounts and cashbacks have relevance specifically for you. Add sustainability perks, like plastic-free rewards, carbon offsets, to win over the environmentally conscious customers. Send updates by SMS, email, and mobile ads, obviously giving preference of channel utilization. Keep it quick, clear, and personalized. Use data to craft rewards that scream just for you, exactly as I mentioned two points ago. Understanding your need, personalizing it directly to you. Instant gratification wins every time. You just spoke about Temu. That absolutely is, top of its game in that regard. Be transparent about data use. Reassure customers their info is safe with you, because that talks then to the point of, the risk and unsafe IT systems and things like that. Pair your loyalty program with great products and fair prices. Great products, fair prices, the value drivers. Loyalty starts with trust. And then the last point here of the checklist is lean into eco-conscious initiatives. Over half of consumers will stick with brands that go green, Kevin.
Craig, I was just making notes that, and out of all those points, the one that stands out the most for me is simplification and make it easy to join, because there have been a number of loyalty programs that I've actually joined, and even if I think of like Discovery Health and Vitality and some of the loyalty of how to get your points, to me, there's still some complication in it. But I think that's probably the winning recipe is, to make it as easy to join and simplify it to the point where it's a no-brainer to kind of.
Correct. Yeah. So just running to the end of the show here, my final comments are to quote Lucas Dubil, who's the Loyalty Solutions Consulting Director at Comarch. Lucas notes the following, some really nice, simple statement he makes, but there's 3 lovely points to support it. So to quote Lucas, in my opinion, in 2025, loyalty experts should prioritize a strategy built around these 3 key principles of simplification, standardization, and optimization. Here's what this means in practice. To standardize, review and unify processes and systems across the organization to ensure consistency and efficiency. Simplify, tackle complexity in processes and systems architecture, aiming to make them as straightforward as possible. And finally, optimize. Identify opportunities to reduce costs during the standardization and simplification processes. But remember, the more complex the structure, the higher the costs. Loyalty is not a stone. It's like water, always seeking new ways to spread, grow, and dominate. And I really love that statement. Your loyalty program should be the same. Continuously look for new opportunities and features to offer your customers because your competitors are doing the same. Remember, we have the expertise, experience, and technology to drive your business forward while meeting your customer expectations. Comarch is the go-to in this regard, Kevin.
Absolutely, guys. And if you want to find out more about this, because as you can hear, there's a lot of information here. Customer Loyalty Predictions 2025 and Beyond report on AI, privacy, and sustainability. Quote of the day, Craig, is loyalty is not won by being first. It's won by being the best from some person.
I thought you were going to say being consistent, but yeah, being the best. That's fantastic.
Craig, thank you so much. Have a fantastic week. Thanks for the insights on this week, and I will see you next week.
Yeah, and yeah, if you want to delve into a big chunky read, there's some wonderful stuff in the report, Kevin.
Fantastic. Thank you. I'll chat to you later.